Good morning and welcome to the first day of 2023, and what we're going to do today is we're going to talk DCC, or I'm going to make a short video about DCC, and this is one of my DCC setups. I've got three. So I've got a very small one for my layout, which is stored on the landing on upstairs. I've got a larger one, which is for my main layout, which is under development, and I've got one up on the shelf, which is still in a bag. I haven't made it yet. So we're going to talk about this one and what I've got. This is a DCC system. This is what's known as a pie sprog. Now, the board on the top is the DCC, and all this below is basically a Raspberry Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi 4, this one, and it gives 3 amps, 3 amp output, and it's perfect for my small layout, which is only 55 by 18. So it doesn't need to control like hundreds of locomotives. It will take two locomotives, but it does control all the points. Now, this works using JMRI, which is, if you're not familiar with it, is a free download from the JMRI Foundation, and it does a lot of things. You can have layout control, you can do signaling, you can do this, you can do that, you can do your decoders, and it's basically a suite of things for doing DCC stuff. Now, I'm not going to go into that. If you want to have a look at it, there's a very, very comprehensive website dedicated to it, and you don't need to be told what it does by me. You can do with it what you want. You can do as little or as much of it as you want. Now, I'm not going to go into that, but this runs JMRI, and it runs it from, if I bring it a bit closer, it runs it from an SD card, and that SD card has got the layout on it for the touch screen, and I can change my points and everything else using that. There's only 3 points on the railway, but it works very well. Now, what I will do is I will set this up, and I'll get a locomotive out, and I'll show you how it works. But the main purpose of this is to show this. This used to be a very cheap, or I wouldn't say cheap, but inexpensive way of getting into DCC. It's a shame because the price of the controlling board, the Raspberry Pi, when I bought this, a Raspberry Pi was about £45. Now it's well over £100 due to the shortage, the worldwide shortage of chips, memory chips, processor chips, and everything else like that. So it is not as inexpensive as it once was, but I was lucky. I've had this for a few years. I built this a few years ago when the price of a Raspberry Pi was cheap. It is still possible to get them relatively cheap, but not brand new. You have to go to ones that have been refurbished or remanufactured to get them for under £100 now. But when I made this, they were about £45. So the board on the top is 60, or was 60, and the processor underneath was about 45, and the power supply was another £15. So it's relatively inexpensive. So what I'll do is I'll get the I'll get a locomotive out and I'll get the track out, and we'll connect this all up, and I'll show you how it all works. But the main reason for doing this is to show you this. Now, I built this. This is a DCC Packet Sniffer. I built it from a MERG article. It was in the December magazine. Let's see if I've got it here. Yeah, here we are. I've got it. So I belong to MERG, and they produce a quarterly journal, and the circuit is from this. And it, after I had a little bit of a false start with it because I didn't know enough about the processor, I've got it working. So that is the article, and the circuit diagram is pretty simple. And again, all the software is done for you. You don't have to do anything. You just connect it up, and provided you connect it up correctly, it should work straight away. So what I'll do is I will set everything up, and I'll connect this up, get a locomotive out, and we'll have a little bit of a play around. Okay, welcome back, and I've connected everything up. This is the Pi-Sprog with the Raspberry Pi, and you probably notice there's a red LED at the top. That shows that the main power, which is this lead, is applied, so that's traction power. These two wires are my DCC bus, and for the purpose of this demonstration is just a single length of track with rolling road, and we'll put a locomotive on in a minute. This thing here, this is the touch screen, and it connects to the Raspberry Pi with one USB lead and one HDMI lead. So the HDMI lead gives the picture, and this enables the touch function on the screen. So what I'll do is I'll start it up, and I'll turn it around. So this is the power switch. So it's all lit up blue. And it's just starting up now. There are two other LEDs on the Raspberry Pi which you probably can't see, but one is a power LED and the other one is a green activity LED, which is a bit like the activity light on a hard disk. So and that flashes as it's doing stuff. So it's starting up, and if I turn this around carefully, that is my layout. What it does is it doesn't know the position of the points, so these red dots are the dots where you touch. So I'll just, well, you can't make them all green because this one and this one coact. If you can see, this one and this one coact. So now it knows that they're in a correct state. I'll drop something on the screen. This isn't the usual screen for this. This is just a screen that. It's a large screen. I have got a larger one. Ooh, that's the protective covering. Don't want to scrape that off. Right, so that's the layout of the small layout, and what you have is you have various things at the top, and what we want is we want this one. easier if I do it this way around and then show you. So we've got this is the screen, and what we want is we want this one up here, which is we throttle. So we'll touch on that, and you see, get this box. Now, this setup by itself, you can't actually control anything from it. So what you need is you need a means of controlling it. And the great thing about this little setup is that what it does is it creates its own Wi-Fi network. And this network is 192.168.6.1, so it doesn't conflict with the house network. And what you can do is you can just use an ordinary tablet. So this is just a very, very cheap tablet that I had knocking around the house. It's an Android tablet. There are apps available for phones and iPhones and iPads and everything, but this is a very, very cheap tablet that I've had for years, and I solely use this as the throttle. So there is an app on it there called Engine Driver. So we'll start that up, and this is what you get. Sorry for the ring. I got a lighting ring for Christmas. It's a bit small, but it should improve the quality of my videos. So the downside is that it appears in the shot. I can't get rid of it. So here we go. So the very top one. This is my JMRI railroad, and it's got the IP address of the thing. So if you click on that, you have to make sure that the Wi-Fi on the tablet is turned on. Right, so I don't know. Right. So if you can see this up here, rather than saying the house network, it now says PySprog 4, no internet. So that's what you want. This needs to be turned on before that does. Right, so it should work now. Right. And it's connected, and this is what you get. This is the screen. So what we'll do is we'll get a locomotive, and for the purpose of this test, this is my J71. It's from a Jim McGowan kit. Okay, so you have that box at the top, which is we throttle, and I said that there's an X in one of the windows, and immediately next to it there is a thing that says unknown. So what you do is you press on the unknown and it will go red. Then if you press on it again, it will go green. And now if you notice on this, there are two red LEDs lit, which means that it's active. So now that I've got my PySprog 4 thing, and it has discovered the server, so it has moved from here up into this window. So if you press connect, then you get this. So we've got the locomotive, and it is sound fitted. So it's set at address 3. So all the things on this now are yeah, sorry, hold on a second. All the buttons and everything on the engine driver are now red. They're sort of washed out when there's no locomotive. So it's sound fitted. So what we'll do is we'll turn it on and we'll turn the sound on. So you can hear it. We should be able to hear it. And I've got to change the decoder because it's not quite going. It's not quite correct. That was the forward setting, and it's going in reverse. So we'll do the reverse setting. And we'll do. So it's not quite come to a stand there. Here we go. And then if you want all the functions are just in the box. So if you want so you've got all the functions. Now the main purpose of doing all this was to show you, as well as the Raspberry Pi, was to show you this box and what it does. So what we'll do is we'll connect it up. So it's powered from the track. And this is what it's displaying. These are the DCC packets that it's picking up off the track. So if I increase, make it go, I'll make the horn sound, or whistle. Not that one, F4. I'll do it again. So what it does is it picks up the commands from the track and decodes them, and doing the whistle for this locomotive, the long whistle is F4. So it says Loco 3, F4 on. So that shows that that I've done it. So now that it's refreshed, you can see that F4 has disappeared. And I'll make it go again, and you can see the steps, the speed steps. And then we'll put it off again, and all the speed steps go back. So the display refreshes every 4 seconds. and it's a very useful little gadget. Okay, so there's one other thing to show you with this. So if you remember, I said that the touchscreen changes the points. If I change one of the sets of points, you should see an ACC command. So you can just see it's just about to scroll off the screen. And now I've changed the points back. And all in all, it's quite a nice little gadget. So it says Loco 3, F1 on. Loco 3, F1 on, and it's stopped. And all the other functions, it only reads up to F12. But if you're using it to sort out DCC problems, if you can't get F12, then you're not going to get F28. So that's about it. So I'll just show you this. It's set to reverse, and so that's the throttle bar. And you do have options to change the layout of this, and you can have more than on a larger tablet. I've got a 10-inch tablet downstairs which has got engine driver on. You can control 2 locomotives at the same time from it. You can have them on the same screen, so you have all this. You can change the preferences, change the layout of the tablet. So you can change it to landscape if you want. You can change the name of it, number of throttles. You can change that from 1 to 6. And if you want to have the slider going up and down the screen rather than across, you can change all that. And it's a very good little app. I think it's good. And I use it with the other DCC setup, and I'll use it with the one that's still in the bag when I've made it. So as I said, everything is turned off now on this. So I've turned the sound off. And everything's turned off. So what I'll do now is I will turn the Wii throttle off. So if you remember, you've got 2 buttons. You've got a red X and one at the moment which says on, although you can actually enable it from the tablet, so you can control this to the extent that you can turn the layout on and off from the tablet. But I don't normally bother with that. I do it from because I've got the touch screen. So what I'll do is I'll turn it off, and you'll see when I turn it off that'll go blank, so because it's lost power and the lower LED has gone out.
So that's it. That's my first DCC system, which is a Pi-Sprog DCC board on the bottom, a Raspberry Pi 4 underneath, a touch screen, quite a big touch screen, but you can get it will work as long as it's a capacitive touch screen. It will work with any touch screen, or you can use an HDMI monitor, and engine driver on a cheap tablet, and that controls it. And that's my system. That's my system for the small layout. And what I'll do is I'll make another video showing the major system that I have later in the year, and if you're interested, there will be I think it's in April the 26th. Yes, it's April the 26th. There will be a Gauge O Guild evening with, and the evening with is with me, but it's a bit of a different evening with. It is more to do with it's more comparable to a special interest group, and it's to do with layout control. And what I'm going to do in the on the evening is I'm going to cover a number of methods of layout control if you're a bit torn about how you're going to do it. And what I've done, we will have guests who are owners of certain DCC systems, and they will talk about what their DCC system is like, how they use it, and everything else like that. Plus I will go through some of the least expensive options for you if you want to go down that route. So thank you for watching, and please watch out for more videos coming during the year.